Oh, Furiosa came out. I wonder how it did. Furiosa edges past Garfield to win Memorial Day with worst #1 opening in 3 decades. Well, damn. Let's not bury the lead. Furiosa bombed over Memorial Day weekend. From The Hollywood Reporter, quote, Warner Brothers' Furiosa narrowly beat Alcon and Sony's The Garfield movie with an estimated $32 million for the 4-day weekend, with George Miller's latest entry into the Mad Max franchise taking in an estimated $26.3 million for a Friday-Sunday versus an estimated $24 million for the animated Orange Feline. Garfield on Sunday claimed victory over Furiosa with an estimated 4-day holiday gross of $31.9 million, but on Monday revised this estimate down to $31.1 million. Warner's took the unusual position of not reporting the 4-day number until Monday. With the race so close and the headline so bad, it's easy to understand why the studio remained mum. Despite Furiosa's victory, it still came in behind expectations and is the worst Memorial Day #1 opener since Casper debuted to $22.5 million nearly 30 years ago in 1995. Yeah, so that's bad. And it's made worse by the film's budget. Furiosa cost $168 million before marketing. As of the making of this video, Furiosa is sitting at $65 million worldwide, with a near even split between domestic and international markets. It barely pulled in $10 million on the opening Friday, and it did worse each day over the weekend. If that trend continues, Furiosa will be yet another multi-million-dollar box office failure from WB. The company didn't fare well in 2023, with all but one of its marquee films, Barbie, crashing in theaters. The question is, why did Furiosa bomb? The reviews for the film are good. It got a B+ cinema score. Reviews mention some questionable special effects in the film, but that doesn't sound like enough to cause people to avoid it. So, what happened? One theory making the rounds is that people are tired of girl boss movies. The problem with that narrative is that the people claiming this admit that Furiosa isn't that kind of movie. I haven't seen the film myself, so I can't verify that, but based on the reviews I've watched and read, it doesn't sound like the typical I am woman, hear me roar tale we've seen recently. I get that people have their anti-woke narrative and they're gonna stick to it, but I think there's a simpler explanation. The movie came out 7 years too late. Mad Max Fury Road came out in 2015. It was a surprise hit considering the 30-year gap between it and the previous Mad Max film. Fury Road brought in $380 million on a $150 million budget. The time to make the prequel was then, while people were still gushing about Fury Road. Had Furiosa come out in 2017 or 2018, it probably would have done better, especially if it wasn't released near any Marvel movies. Even if the movie didn't make bank, I doubt it would have crashed and burned as hard as it did this past weekend. Waiting 9 years to make the prequel was a mistake. Sometimes there's a right time to release a film, and if you're too early or too late, it's not going to do well, at least not in theaters. I think this is what happened with Furiosa. The Mad Max franchise has never been a box office draw. The first film did incredibly well, but the second and third both made a fraction of the first film's $100 million box office, even though they had higher budgets. Fury Road hit at the right time and did well as a result. It's hard to make that happen twice, especially when there's a little build up to the next film. There's also been some speculation that people aren't interested in prequels, or that because the film isn't about Mad Max, that this resulted in audience disinterest. That's possible, but that implies that people are well versed in Mad Max lore, and I don't think that's true. Like I said, had the film come out closer to Fury Road, it probably would have done better. That said, I do think the short turnaround from theaters to streaming might be a factor. If people are iffy about a movie, they may wait until it's on streaming since that usually happens within a few months, especially if the movie bombs. Hell, even popular movies like Dune wind up on streaming services very fast. Dune 2 came out on March 1st. It hit HBO Max on May 21st. That's 81 days, just shy of 3 months. That kind of turnaround is probably hurting mid-tier movies. Add to that the expensive ticket prices, and it's easy to see how people could decide to wait for a movie to appear on a streaming service if they're unsure about it. Combine that with people getting used to not going to theaters due to the pandemic, and that's just begging for an industry slump. Now, there's always a chance that word of mouth helps pick up Furiosa's box office over the next few weeks. I don't think that's going to happen based on the weekend performance, but it is possible. What this says about the broader film industry as a whole is another thing entirely, because the industry is in such a weird state. It's struggling to recover from the pandemic and the strikes. A movie like Barbie did incredibly well when it was expected to flop. Surefire hits like the MCU films mostly tanked. Animation studios have had similar hits and misses. Even the streaming services aren't doing that well. And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to any of it. No one knows what the hell is going on, except that whatever it is ain't good. It must suck to have to release movies in this market, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.